What is up? It is Monday. Monday what? Monday what? The 27th. It's Monday, the 27th of January. Oh, 2025. How's everybody doing today? Are you doing okay? Are you okay? Why is I feel like my camera's... Let's move the camera a little bit. There we go. There. I feel like the camera needed adjusting. You know. One of those things. It is Monday, January 27th, 2025, and that's today. Fucking exciting, dude. It's exciting. Oh my God, there's so much chatter in the chat box today. Let's get to some of the chatter in the chat box. Mark, first to the chat. Congratulations, Mark, for being first to the chat. Congratulations. I appreciate it. Everyone appreciates it. It's a prestigious award. Witchy Cat, second to the chat. Alyssa Bentley, thirdly to the chat, saying, "Oh my God, so sorry." Oh, I blame Alyssa Bentley for distracting me with food talk. Yes, you guys were talking about Hawaiian food. I appreciate the Hawaiian food talk because I just, at the time I wasn't thinking about it. At the time I wasn't thinking about it, and it reminded me how delicious Hawaiian food is. Manapua, musubi, whatever. Pork. Go crazy. Go for it. I love it. Do I need to set a status? No, I don't need to set a status for the green room. I'm just going to go into the green room. But maybe we could set a status. Do I have something in my inbox? Oh, I have crap in my inbox. Oh my God. I have new friends. My gosh, guys. I have new friends in my inbox. Amazing. Craze amaze. Let's delete that. We're deleting. Yeah, okay. How do we close the chat over here? Oh, we just click the X button. There we go. Okay. I will try not to talk about going and getting delicious Manapua or Cocoa Puffs, cream puffs covered in chocolate. Ooh, I love me cream puffs. I love me the cream puffs, but those are Vietnamese, so don't be tricked. The pâté à choux, because the French invaded Vietnam and the Vietnamese helped them make those cream puffs. Okay, who else is here that needs a shout out on a Monday? Alyssa says I had actually never had spam before Justin made spam musubi. Yeah, I love spam musubi. It's good. Spam is actually not bad. I'm going to tell you that right now. For it being what do they call it? They have a name. They have a name for it. Spam is what? There's a name for it. What do they call it? They have a name for like what spam is. What is it? Like mechanically separated? There's some kind of name for it. There's some kind of way that they call it. It's not chopped meat. Da, 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 da. Oh my God, I'll remember it later, I'm sure. But if people were wondering what spam musubi is, it looks like this. You think sushi. Think sushi, but with spam instead. See that? You got your spam in the middle, Sometimes the spam is on the top and the rice is on the bottom. It's wrapped in a seaweed wrapper. It's got like soy, teriyaki, sesame, green onions, the goods. So I feel like musubi would go over real well in the Midwest, where people are like scared of eating sushi. They have a fear of it. They freak out and start crying and peeing their pants at the idea of sushi, let alone even eating it. It would be good in there. It would be great in the Midwest, where the people freak out about even the idea of sushi. I met somebody from the Midwest who was wondering why there was salsa and pico de gallo on the table when we went to a Mexican restaurant, which was a mind. I feel like I had an aneurysm when that happened. And I was like, I don't understand. How did you get to be like 30 years old? Okay, going back to the chat. What the hell was going on in the chat? I scrolled way down. Spam is one of those on the fence things. I was a food bank kid, so it's on the list of things I just don't buy, but I do crave it now and again. So just toss it into some fried rice. Yeah. As salt delivery systems go, it does the job. It certainly does. That's for sure. There's salt in it. It's one of the 6 ingredients. I should have read the rest of the ingredients, but it seemed to be ham, pork, salt, and probably water. I don't know. And then 2 more things that I didn't read. Jay's Crazy Obsession says, I'm a member. Yeah, you are a member. I think I gifted you a membership. I'm right there with you, Witchy Cat. I've showed my son some of the poor kid meals I had growing up, and he's like, this is good. Yeah. Boxed mac and cheese is never welcome in the house. Anyone who suggests peas and tuna in it is out the door. Yeah, I mean, I used to eat macaroni and cheese with tuna on like long backpacking trips because it's a lot of calories and it's easy to pack with you, because cans of tuna aren't going to go bad, and bags of macaroni and the cheese powder. The cheese powder is not going to go bad. So if you have water, and you can boil water, you can pretty much make a air quote dinner, right? Like you got a dinner there, a whole can of tuna and a whole box of macaroni and cheese, and you probably don't have any butter or milk or anything, so it's just like watery macaroni and cheese. But when you're hiking and you're in the backcountry, it tastes like you're eating, the only food you've ever had. I don't think I would eat it at home though. I don't think that's something I would ever eat at my home. I never catch the live. How did someone gift me one? So the way that when people gift super chats, okay, so to be clear, to clear up some of this chat here, when you gift super chats, the YouTube algorithm will essentially prioritize people at the top of the list that have the highest watch time or comments or like buttons or shares or whatever, any of the things that you interact with on a YouTube live stream or recorded content or whatever, it adds up those points. However it counts the points, I don't know, and I frankly don't want to know. It feels like information that is occupying space in my brain that could be occupied by something else. But it essentially puts all those people at the top of the list, right? So if you've, if I got this phlegm situation going on, seemingly always now, probably dying. Who knows? Um, so YouTube just calculates who's at the top of the list, who's like if you've listened to a bunch of live streams recently, like replayed a bunch of them or something, it likely would be like, oh, this person's contributed a lot of watch time. They'll put him at the top. Or you left a lot of comments, or you left a lot of likes, or whatever, any of that shit. Any of the stupid shit that YouTube wants you to do, it'll put you at the top of the list. I'm sorry for clearing my throat today, but apparently that's happening after I talk for a little while. So I'm hangry and under-caffeinated. All-nighters on this social media project have me a bit hyper-nappy. Well, that makes sense. Speaking of social media projects, has anybody seen Pixel Fed? Has anybody seen that yet? I just heard about it. Somebody sent me a link. Pixel Fed, like this. Somebody sent me a link to it, and it looks like essentially like what Instagram just should have stayed as, right? It's apparently becoming more popular. Now, I don't know if there's if some kind of crazy way to join it or whatever. I haven't joined it yet. Considering it because it might be a good place to put photos and stuff. Which, that was kind of the whole point of Instagram, and ever having had an Instagram account. And the unfortunate side is that, because TikTok was released and became popular, and then Marky Mark, Nazi Jr., what's his name? Who's the meta guy? Marky Mark Wahlberg? No, it's not Wahlberg. It's, what's his name? Mark fucking Facebook guy. Zuckerberg. Yeah, I couldn't remember that guy's name. Marky Mark Zuckerberg bought it and then has been trying to transition it into a video app by just weighting the algorithm heavily to favor video over pictures, and that is a really fucking stupid way to operate any kind of social media site. In my opinion, is like, oh, we'll take the bones of it and then we'll just make it all interact in a really stupid way. Which is another reason why Elon Musk is a fucking idiot. Also, they're both idiots. They spend billions and billions of dollars and then just hack up a successful product and then go, look at me, I'm a genius. You're like, are you? Cool. Really, it's really genius what you've done. Mac and cheese with a can of chili and day-old hot dog, food bank gourmet dinner. Vicky does that. She makes macaroni and cheese and then mixes the chili in. And she always asks me if I want chili mac. And I'm like, I'll have some macaroni and some chili. Sure. You're making those things. I'll have those two things. Do not mix mine together. If there's one thing that you could do that would piss me off culinarily, is mixing all of the flavors together. Like a hodgepodge pot enrages me. I don't want all of the flavors all of the time for one whole 15-minute eating session. I don't want the same bite over and over and over and over again. I would gladly accept a hot dog on white bread with an apple and some potato chips or something, because I would be getting 3 different bites right? And I could work my way around. Clearly, Joel would not like hot dish. I fucking hate hot dish. Hot dish is the stupidest, laziest fucking bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life. I have eaten it many times. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it, especially because you could make that biscuit drop casserole, whatever that's called. Casserole with biscuits in it, right? How the fuck do you spell biscuits? That's one that fucks me up. Biscuits. That's right. Like this shit right here, like the chicken and biscuit casserole. You could make this. You could make this hot dish. You know? When somebody was like, oh, do you want a hot dish? And it turned out it was just like a bunch of bullshit leftovers that they had. And then they put a can of soup in it and they stuck it in a fucking oven for 45 minutes. I'm like, listen here, you dipshit. You could have just made essentially some chicken soup. You could have mixed in some old chicken. You could have put some rice in there, whatever. And you could have just mixed up some biscuits, thrown those on top. And then Bob's your uncle. Put that in the oven. But yeah, leftover hot dish is fucking disgusting. I don't want it. The project I'm making is a Facebook clone, same structure and usage, private owned and run, virgin territory, though, and no advertising. Now, I don't know how you're going to pay for it then. First question, how are you going to pay for it?
I already have everything, so I don't need to pay for it.
What the fuck are you doing in here, you sneaky son of a bitch? You scared me. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Well, I'm amused now. Turn down your own mic. I was whispering the first time.
Were you?
Yeah, I was trying not to
I have my
hear
system
the shit
audio
out of
up.
you.
So here's the thing. You always say you're like, oh, you have your audio up high. It's because I have everything routed through system audio from Discord because it's the easiest way to like integrate it into this application. So like if I turn on this computer over here, hold on. Wake up.
I don't wanna.
It will eventually.
When you don't want it to.
Oh, I put it in full on sleep mode. Don't listen to my password, you fucking creeps. So like if I turn on this computer, like this is what I listen to. This is how loud it is. Let's see what.
Yeah.
That's fucking Arctic Monkeys. Hell yeah. That's how loud I listen to it. I can't hear anything else other than the music. There could be a bomb going off and I wouldn't be able to hear anything. I wouldn't know to hide from the nuclear
to get under
fallout,
your desk.
You know? I'd get irradiated because I'd be like, I don't even know. Did something happen?
Oh?
Oh, what's that big cloud? Yeah.
It's not pretty. That's funny.
Hot dish goes in the oven. I would argue with Alyssa. She says hot dish does not go in the oven. I have seen hot dish many times in my life, and they put it in a casserole and they stick it in the oven because here's the key. Here's the key to hot dish people. They want to reveal it like they did something. And if you don't take it out of the oven and pull the foil off of it, you can't act like you did anything. Oh, sweet
we don't
even
Pearl
update available.
That's
one of the reasons I have to let this computer sleep. I gotta run updates. I guess I could run updates in the background while you guys are
constantly wants to tell you shit.
Farting around here on the fucking internet. God damn it, where'd the update go? Come back. I need you. I need your update in my body. Install now. There we go. Yeah, I'm doing this left-handed, so just fucking deal with me for a second. Download all. I need those support drivers because the Intel card over here is like fragile on that computer. It's like, I don't know, man. There's a kernel. A kernel is wrong. And you're like, a kernel? What? Yeah, we timed out looking for updates. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm downloading them.
Okie dokie.
Is Intel doomed?
Well, if Musk buys it, yes, but we'll see. He was making plays for it.
Oh, I should really actually turn that down. It's so fucking loud.
It is really loud.
You want this app to make changes? Fuck yeah, dude. Fucking break it. Break the computer. I don't care. Then it's a casserole. If it's in the oven, it's a casserole. Hot dish is all done in a big pot on the stove. I'm telling you, dude.
Ooh.
I'm telling you. The motherfuckers put the hot dish in the oven. Maybe not around your house or whatever.
Both ways.
You know, I'm saying the hot dish people put it in the oven. I've seen them fucking do it. I've seen them do it. I've seen them do it in person. I've fled people's buildings when I realized what it is that they were doing. I'm like,
trying to feed you.
I'd rather eat at fucking 7-Eleven, bro. I'll just stop by and get
It's like
I'll get a tornado. Have you ever had those tornadoes? You're gonna have diarrhea. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, you're gonna have diarrhea later. It's a tornado, baby. You know.
I'm strictly the big bite or the sausage. I am not the fan of the taquitos or the tornadoes or the.
Oh, you could do the big bite. You can do the sausage. Sausage is good, but they're always like out of those whenever I am there.
Yeah. Or it's been there so long that it's like the sausage no one wants.
I don't know what drivers I'm installing over there. I might actually break that computer. I have concerns. I have squinty-eyed concerns, but we'll see.
There they are.
It's not going to be the next big. That was you. The project about to. So you're making a Facebook clone or something?
Yeah, I am. I'm leaving Facebook. I've got that huge off-grid group with about 100,000 people on it. I want to see how many people I can bring over. I have all the stuff for it anyway. I've done this in smaller forms for like family reunion sites and that type of thing, but it can be scaled to any size. And I'll just stick a donation button up and we'll see what happens. The problem is, even the people that don't want to be on Facebook
Hold on a
will
second.
stay.
I'm having
Go
a moment
ahead.
here.
You have a moment.
I'm having a moment. So D-Rock says,
It's all about the food.
this is what we're talking about. I mean, I started talking about your Facebook thing, and I fucking glazed over because I'm like, awesome, another website. Fucking cool.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be awesome.
Not really.
I mean, the game I play actually released a desktop version of it today. Sorry, 5 days ago. I'm very excited for that because I can stream and play it.
There you go.
Because the desktop version is not only on my phone.
Back to casseroles.
Oh, slop in a pot. So it's like peas in the porridge, right? That that old one, peas in the porridge. How's that go?
It's a cheap American ripoff of shepherd's pie, and we're too lazy to layer it. We just toss it all in at once.
What is it? Peas in the porridge hot, right? How's that go? I can't remember that.
I don't know.
Well, I can't play it because I already played Arctic Monkeys. They're going to get in trouble. Peas in the porridge hot, peas in the porridge cold, peas in the porridge pot 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it in pot. In the pot 9 days old. Right? That peas in the porridge. Okay, maybe I actually have to play it so we can remember the shit.
Who wants some peas porridge? In the pot 9 days old.
Right.
Some like it hot, some like it cold.
Yeah.
Some like.
Yeah, there we go. So I would argue that what Alyssa is describing is peas porridge, right? It's all the shit in the pot, and then just heat it up. And like I said, hot dish is the leftovers in a casserole with the fucking, they like depending on whatever the leftovers is, like you might just throw some dry pasta in there and let the pasta cook in the oven or whatever. It was just whatever leftovers in the oven that's hot dish. Peas porridge is like what she's describing, where it's just a pot, where it's just the stuff in the pot. D-Rock said we call that slop in a pot. Yeah, so it's like Yeah. And Alyssa says chili is a kind of hot dish. No. Chili is a dish that is served hot, but I would not. That's not a hot dish, dude. Like I don't. I mean, we could argue this all day long. This is, and I know that Alyssa is from like the northern Midwest, so she's like from the Fargo Midwest,
Yes, she is. Yeah.
She's got a lot of Fargo influence, so maybe that's the slight issue. But I'm telling you, the majority of the American Midwest, because the Midwest goes all the way down south, right? How deep does the Midwest go before it gets to the south? You got to get to like
Missouri.
You got to get to like
pretty much.
Is it Missouri? I thought you said.
Yeah.
Hold on. Midwest.
No, because
America map. Let's see because I remember I was looking this up.
I will say hot
yeah,
dish
it's
is
okay. So technically, hold on. Yeah, it goes all the way through Missouri, through Kansas, through Nebraska, through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. I mean, you got to get to Arkansas to technically be in the South, right? But I mean, if you're kind of the northern border, I mean, it includes Missouri is the Midwest.
Right, but that's what you're going east-west.
But I'm saying if you're all the way up here north in Minnesota, you got a lot of Fargo influence up there.
Yes, you do. The Great Lakes region.
But I'm telling you, all these Michiganders, Ohio, all of Ohio, which is a surprising amount of population every time I hear about it. Every time I hear how many people are in Ohio, I'm like, what? How? Ohio pop. Let's check this out because it was, like 12 million people. What the fuck are 12 million people doing in Ohio? Why? Just get in your car and drive. You could just drive somewhere else. Stop doing that. Their population has doubled since 1940. What are they doing? People are moving to Ohio? What is wrong with these people? Oh, it had to be the war. Look at this. World War II shell-shocked a lot of people. It fucked their brains up big time when they started moving to Ohio. Mark says, boo, Ohio. Yeah, boo. It's just like a miserable state. Like, why live there?
Yeah. Alyssa,
and somebody said, you're alienating your audience, like last week. You're alienating half of your audience. Okay, dude, try to argue with me that Ohio's awesome. It's fucking not. They're like, come on.
Alyssa, you scare me.
We need to reboot.
Uh-oh. It's a dystopian dish. It's a dystopian dish, Alyssa. So it fits with the conversation today, at least.
I don't do the Facebook, so I'd possibly look into that idea. Oh, okay. So yeah, probably. So a lot of people joke that like Facebook is like it's boomer book or whatever, right? And one of the big reasons I stay on Facebook is like I've been there on there a long time. I basically got on it when it launched. So I've been on there a long time, but B, I also like to fucking shout at all the boomers on there, like it's the bridge in between. I feel like Facebook isn't boomer book necessarily. I feel like it's the bridge for shouting at boomers for being fucking brain dead retards at like 60 years old, where you're like, you should have absorbed some information by now in your life. But no, they've just been careening through their 65 years of life, just like eating reheated casserole on the stove,
with Parmesan cheese. Shaker
and
cheese.
Even now, when people serve me food where all the pieces are in separate parts of my plate, I will pile my fork with a big piece of meat, veg, and starch per forkful. Otherwise, it tastes wrong. See, Alyssa, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening anymore. My dad's hot dish was a pound of tricolor rotini, a pound of cooked and drained ground beef, one family-sized jar of Prego traditional pasta sauce, a pound of frozen peas and carrots, and one chopped onion. Why? I don't know. You get the peas and the carrots and the onion. Cut those up.
Well,
Saute them in the pot. Add the fucking jar pasta sauce, which is fucked. Don't do that. But okay, I get it.
Sauce.
I get it. That people are like, I don't know how to do that. Like, okay, I guess just you know, you have the internet. You just look it up, or you could just buy a fucking cookbook, a Betty Crocker cookbook. It's been around. When did Betty Crocker get released? When did those first come out?
30s,
Betty
I think.
Crocker cookbook first release date. Look it up, internet. You can fucking do it, you sons of bitches. 2005. That's accurate. You fucking piece of shit. 1933 is the first book. The first booking edition from Betty Crocker, who, oh my God, got sexier over the years. There's different versions of Betty Crocker. Let's see, which version do you think I'm most favorable to? Let's zoom in here. We have to enhance. And I'm going to post them up here. Hold on.
Okay. We're going to do a poll.
Portraits of Betty Crocker through the years. Here they are. Boom ski. There we go. 1936, 1955, 1965, 1968, 1972, 1980, and 1986. Aaron Rodgers is a crazy person. What do you think? What do you got?
Hold on a second here. Boy. I'm hoping it's 36.
I can make them bigger here.
Maybe, I don't know.
What do you got?
A couple of these look like they're paintings rather than actual portraits.
They're all paintings.
I guess they're all paintings. Yeah.
They're all portraits, portrait paintings, artist renderings, apparently, of a fictitious person named Betty Crocker. I'm assuming is a fictitious person. The 1936
one is pretty. The 1955 one was probably, I mean, for her age, she's attractive. The 86 one actually isn't horrible either, although that bow has got to go. That's just a fashion choice. I don't know. The 36 one looks a little too pissed. She's like, I'm a militant cook.
She's pretty grumpy looking. I'm going 1968. I'm going 1968. She's got JFK's wife vibes. What's her name? Jacqueline
Onassis.
Jacqueline Onassis.
Yeah,
Jacqueline Onassis vibes. Which I always figured that, like, if there was a guy, right? Like, let's say that there was a guy. Let's say a guy existed. There was a dude, and he was existing.
Got it.
And he was around, and he was hanging around with Jacqueline Onassis, right? Like, he was in the circle, and he was just like a reasonable, like, non-cunt, right? I think you would have a good chance of breaking up that marriage, you know?
Yeah.
But anyhow, my point of looking this up was 1933 Betty Crocker's recipe set featured recipes from world famous chefs for foods that enchant men. Oh God, see, that's why we've gotten into this harlot talk.
Okay, well then you can explain to me how aspics ever enchanted men, because I don't get it.
I'm saying if you cook me a nice dinner, I think you might want to have sex. That's all I'm saying.
An aspic? I mean,
I think that's the reality of like being a dude, right? If some lady is like, just throw on the push-up bra, throw on a little lipstick, and makes you a nice tenderloin, and maybe some chimichurri or something. I don't know. I would imagine that she'd probably be interested in coitus, as it were. You know,
fair
would be my expectation. I would think.
That explains a number of experiences in my life.
Did I ever tell you? Did I ever tell you about the time? Well, no, I have friends that invite me over for dinner and shit, and I wouldn't think that was the case, but you get why they would be marketing that. Anyhow, my point is that so we have two things. My point, to circle back, was the Betty Crocker book has been out since 1933. Easily could have accessed a used copy of it, read it. You could have made the pasta. You could have turned the ground beef into meatballs, put those in the oven, cook the pasta, and then just stick it all on a plate and go, oh, pasta, meatballs, and peas. I think was the other thing, right? Was it peas?
And celery. Peas and celery.
And peas and celery. Or you could have just put all the peas and celery and all that shit in the pasta sauce, and a little Parmesan with some, a little bit of Parmesan with the, whatchamacallit in there, the wood shavings, you know? You get the sawdust and the Parmesan.
It's the shaker cheese and the Parmesan. Technically, they call it cheese, but it's really...
There's a certain percentage of sawdust that they could put in flour and cheese, especially back in the day. And there's a term for it. I forget the term. There's a term for when you've reached... Well, no, there's a term for when you've reached too much sawdust. And then you need to dial it back because the consumers start to realize that you're feeding them sawdust, I think. And they get grumpy about it.
Now because the FDA can't tell you anything. So go for it.
They can tell you anything.
No, they can't. They're not allowed to tell anybody anything currently.
They can tell anybody anything they want.
They're not allowed to make any types of announcements of any type. They can know about it. They can even be upset by it. But they can't post about it on the internet or send out an email.
The thing is that like anybody could do anything that they want. They can just do whatever.
They're part of that blackout. Yeah.
The people can do whatever they want. You know, they are the people.
We the people. Okay, sorry. Schoolhouse Rock.
Sorry, we have an event happening here. I wonder, can I garrison? No, I can't garrison more. I can only garrison one. Only one troop.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
He's
what is going on? My mom left Massachusetts for Ohio. I'll never understand it. I don't understand that either. That doesn't make any fucking sense. That doesn't make a lick of sense at all. I would have stayed in Massachusetts, personally. I know they both get cold winters, and they both get whack-ass summers, but Massachusetts doesn't have that, like, fucking sideways minus 40-degree blizzard hurricane shit that Ohio does. That Ohio does, you know?
The lake stuff. Yeesh.
Yeah, that kind of shit. Lake effect?
No.
What do you mean lake effect? What are you talking about?
Sawdust. Coconut is not sawdust. So fired. Not frozen. He's just using the phone.
Yeah, I'm just I'm on my phone. There's an event happening right now, and I'm trying to yell at people to get into our outpost. Get inside our outpost, you fucks. What are you doing? And they won't. They're not doing it. I don't know why.
They're fired. Okay, are you the buffering, or is my internet buffering?
I don't know. I could be buffering. I like buffering. I'm into it. Something
Are you?
I'm proud.
Do you buffer often?
I'm proud of buffering. It's a thing I'm into.
I buffer in public.
I buffer in public, you know. Actually, it does circle back to the story that I wanted to tell about strange dating instances. And I may or may not have told this story to you at one point, but I did go out on a date with a gal once, a long time ago. And while we were out on a date, I had a strange booger situation.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, what the hell? You know, and I was like, oh fuck. You know, and like hold on, I'm sorry, I got like a booger thing going on here. And
Always
and
a turn on.
it wasn't a turn on necessarily. Okay.
Okay.
But it was explained to me by her later on that she was like, if you were so willing to admit that you were like that you had a booger thing going on, that she was like, there's no way that you were like being dishonest like about anything that was going on. You know what I mean? She was like, you obviously were in you know, like you were just being in an honest state. And she was like, and that made me feel comfortable, and I was cool with that. So then we had sex for like a week, you know?
Well,
So
that's good.
it was like, wait a minute. So you could literally go like, oh, I picked my nose essentially on a date, and that's what sealed the deal for having coitus. Yeah,
For a week.
definitely out of wedlock too, even, you know. And to all you Catholic freaks out there, we used condoms, so
Oh
don't know
my
what to tell
God.
you.
Oh
Don't know
my
what to tell you.
God.
You probably feel real bad about that. You think your Santa Claus guy in the sky is going to be mad at me, but frankly, it was a good decision, you know.
On many levels. That's funny.
Yeah, so I feel like if you know, it was the right thing to do.
Oh,
We just weren't a good fit, like as humans later on. So it was like, yeah, all right, never mind. This was fun, but we'll do something else. Man, I only watch YouTube. I don't use social media. At 38, I'm fine with email and text. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that like, I would imagine there's like a fair amount of people that are in that position, at this juncture. Although, like, when you realize that like TikTok has like 170 million users just in the U.S., maybe that's not the case. I don't even have a TikTok account, so it's like, you know, if somebody like me doesn't have a TikTok account and 170 million people have a TikTok account, it's like it pretty much starts to fundamentally be like pretty much everybody does, and I'm the weirdo that doesn't, you know.
I got one in December just because, as we all know, I don't sleep much, so I'll go on there at 2 a.m. to see what there is to find randomly, and it's one of the weirdest late night landscapes I've ever encountered. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are tarot readers and, of course, the ASMR crowd and lots of international stuff. There's a huge number of younger girls in hijabs probably more than I've seen in any one place online or otherwise. It's just, it's interesting. I won't lie, but I only look at the live stuff. I don't look at the pre-made shorts or the videos. Those I find to be just dribble, usually. That pixel bed that you showed looks kind of like a cross between Discord and Instagram with the whole servers idea. It looks like there's a healthy injection of Discord in there.
Yeah, I mean, it looked kind of interesting, and somebody sent me the link kind of right before the stream, and I was like, "Huh, this looks kind of interesting." And then I was like, "Ah, maybe I'll talk about it a little bit. Like, hey, this looks interesting. Maybe it's a good thing." Like I said, I only ever got an Instagram account because I wanted to be able to share photography on there. And like I said, Zuckerberg bought Instagram, then all of the algorithmic promotion went towards video because he was trying to compete with a different platform that was solely launched for short video content. And so all they did was just fuck with the algorithm. So then people like me that would get, you know, between 500 and 1,000 engagements with a picture, with like 150 likes and some comments or whatever, it went down to like 20 engagements and like 5 likes. And you're, like, to be honest with you, like, I'm not in the game for like I'm gonna get likes, but when you realize and you can look at the back end and go, oh, 20 people saw this picture, you know, it really just starts to become one of those things where you're like, I'm fucking just not going to post pictures anymore then, I guess. Right.
Right.
Like, what's the point? Like, nobody's fucking seeing it. So why bother doing that?
Yeah.
So that's the main reason that I'm like, well, that's fucked and I don't like that. And also on top of that, that's why I don't like that.
Right.
Is because you're like, okay, I was on this platform to do this. Then this goofball billionaire that owns WhatsApp also, and Meta, and fucking Facebook, and fucking whatever else he owns. What else does
Threads.
Meta own?
Threads, and there's one other that's small that surprised me. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
So he owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Threads, MetaQuest, Horizon Worlds. They own Oculus Studios, Reality Labs. What else have they bought? I know that they bought some other stuff too. Yeah, Meta owns
a lot of things.
Yeah, Meta owns 94 companies.
They buy a lot of things and then shutter them. You know, they'll kind of fold them in and then just shut them down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's just another reason that people go like, I don't understand what your left-leaning policy is. What's your leftist policy, right? And I'm like, avoiding fucking monopolies like this, like disallowing Mark Zuckerberg from singularly owning essentially like an entire part of or an entire portion of like a whole business, essentially, right? It's like, and to put it into stupid terms, like if there was only one vendor of wrenches, right? There was only one vendor of wrenches because all of the companies got bought up by this one wrench company. Let's just say Snap-on did it, right? So let's say Snap-on buys up all the wrench production in the world, and now the only place where you can get a wrench is off the Snap-on truck, which is going to be a $200 fucking wrench versus a $5 wrench at Harbor Freight, right? Okay. There is a world where the Snap-on tool is just so good that you want to spend the $200 on it. But there's also a world where you may only need to use this wrench once, and so that the $5 Harbor Freight one is a much better option for you as a consumer, which we start to talk about like consumer protection and consumer advocacy, and people like Joe Rogan talk to idiots like Mark Zuckerberg on the Joe Rogan program, and Mark Zuckerberg sits there and claims to not know what the Consumer Protection Bureau is, right? And goes, oh, it's that thing that Elizabeth Warren made. And then Joe Rogan goes, oh, Elizabeth Warren, oh, oh my God, that's not good, right? Because of the complete and utter lack of information that Joe Rogan carries, people like Mark Zuckerberg can sit there and fucking trick them into thinking they are some other person. As a matter of fact, Mark Zuckerberg has gotten a shitload of plastic surgery. If you look at his pictures from like 4 or 5 years ago when he was testifying in court for, by the way, all of the information sharing that they've done, information harvesting that they've done, the voter tampering that they did. If anybody remembers any of the, what was that? what was
I can see it. Starts with a C. Cambridge
Cambridge
Analytica.
Analytica.
Woohoo!
Cambridge Analytica shit that they did,
Yeah.
and what did they pay? $6 billion fine, $5 billion fine.
Just a little, not much.
They paid a gigantic fine because they were fucking with election information and sending election information to campaigns and shit. And yeah, and so they're allowed to, just allowed to do that. And then go on to Joe Rogan after getting a bunch of plastic surgery. And so he can make himself look like some kind of fucking DJ from Serbia. Some kind of Serbian DJ who's like, check me out. I'm here to play the records tonight. I heard there was a wedding, and so they're allowed to do that. And then they go on to programs like Joe Rogan where they just laugh because they heard that Elizabeth Warren is bad from Ben Shapiro, little Ben Shapiro sitting around getting an email every morning from his billionaire handlers telling him what to fucking spew on his fucking hate show every day. But whatever, I get messages these days that are like, you went soft, you're fucking weak now. And I'm like, what? Like, wait a minute. So I don't work for a weird company that extracts money from fucking slave labor overseas, and now all of a sudden I'm weak. Okay, got it.
Yes, that's you, Mr. Cream Puff.
Yeah. Now I'm imagining the booger monsters from the Mucinex commercials. Those guys are pretty entertaining, I will admit. Who are the voices of the Mucinex guys?
I don't know. But as the animated advertisers go, they're somehow considerably less offensive than the fucking Charmin bears.
Oh, no wonder. It's Jason Mantzoukas.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay. Oh, apparently they replaced TJ Miller with Jason Mantzoukas, which does make sense why it's so fucking... It's pretty funny. I mean, I feel bad for TJ Miller. Like, obviously, a lot of his problems have to do with mental issues. And it does seem that, like, there was an accident where he hit his head or whatever.
Right.
And it caused a lot more of these problems to manifest from other people. Like, that's what I heard. That it's the timeline seems to be that way, that that it seems like after that accident, everything that he's been doing has been just so much more out of control. I will admit there was a lot of things that TJ Miller did that I thought were quite funny. But now everything just has that shade of, like, I don't know. I'm wondering if he's just mentally having a mental thing, having a mental break again. And it really sucks because I thought he was great in Deadpool. And then it turns out he, like, wants to fight Ryan Reynolds or whatever. You're like, dude, what the fuck, man? Like, this is the hill you want to die on? Like, okay. I guess, bro. Great ideas. Oh, I guess as far as, like, personal updates go, like, we missed a live stream. Did I ever explain why I missed a live stream?
You didn't.
I didn't. It was because my phone died. I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen before, but my phone, something happened to my phone. I think water got in it or something, because when I plugged it in, it got super hot, and then alarms started going off that there was water in the charging port. So then I spent, like, the whole night, like, drying it out to make sure that there wasn't anything in the charging port. And then I plug it in, and it would freak out, and it would get hot, like it was gonna fucking short out and explode. And I didn't want to be one of those guys that had the exploding phone with the battery exploding. And then I took it to the store, and I was like, I'm just a dumb guy. Can you help me? And he was like, He was like, nope, there's something wrong with it. It's fucked. This isn't good. So he kept unplugging it, plugging it in, testing it, and then, and then so we went through the warranty process, and I've had that phone for 5 years, which is wild. Mark says, shit, my phone is like 7 years old. Yeah, mine was 5 years old. That thing lasted, it was a Note 10. I think it was a Note 10. And
Wow. Okay.
basically, my cell phone provider guy, he was like, it's going to be really hard pressed to find a phone that's as good as the Note 10 because they like spec'd it out more than it likely should have ever been. He's
Right.
like, those Note 10s work really good, so I'm not surprised you kept that thing going. Now, here's what's also funny is that it turns out that because the Note 10 was so spec'd out, that when we went through the insurance company, because I do pay for insurance because my fear of breaking phones because of how many phones I've broken in the past. Turns out I think I'm just getting better at not breaking phones. Knock on wood. I think that might be the case, is that I've just adapted to not like doing stupid shit with my phone as much as I used to. I think that's the big deal. But
Right.
anyhow, the insurance company basically gave me full price for the phone as a refund.
Very nice.
They didn't do that thing where they're like, oh, it's $50.
Right. You've used it for 5 years.
They did the thing where it was like, oh, that phone was worth $1,200. Here's $1,200 back minus your deductible, which I think was $200. So we basically got a check for $1,000 to insure the phone. Drove up to Best Buy, bought a new phone, drove back down to hook it up, blah, 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 did all that shit. And by that time, it was like 3:30 in the afternoon. And it was like, oh, my God, I have a phone again, and it's ready for work for Tuesday morning. Because it was really one of those things that I was like, well, I could just not have a phone for a while, I guess. Like, okay. Yeah. And, about 3 or 4 hours went by, and it was like, nope, it's a really bad idea to not have a phone at this point. Like, how is Vicky going to get a hold of me? I have a daughter. I have a daughter that has had a active shooter drill this year.
Lovely.
So there was a shooter at one of the schools, not hers. And there was an active bomb threat at one of the other schools. And so things like that are, I need to be in the know if I got to go, right? Kind of thing. And also driving in different job sites. People are contacting me all the time. You never know when that's going to happen. And the big difference there is like, well, they could just email me and I'll get back to them when I get home. And it's like, if somebody emails me at like 10 in the morning, and I don't get home until like 8:30 at night and email them back at like 9 p.m., like, oh, sure, what's wrong with your toilet? Is it broken? Or whatever.
They've already emailed 5 other people and found someone
They've
else.
already freaked the fuck out. And I will say, like, I spent all day bidding jobs yesterday, driving around and going to look at jobs and give them estimates and bids. And it's a long day, a lot of driving and talking to people, and it's not a lot of work per se, but it is work, so but doing all that, and the reality is that like most customers this day, I think they think everything is Amazon. I really do. I've noticed this more and more over the years that people are like, wait, so you're not going to be able to come out for 8 weeks? Like, what is that? What do you mean?
Right.
It's like, well, A, I have other jobs. B, we need to order materials. We need to fill out a contract. We need to make sure that the scope of work is what you want so that we can do what you need done. Instead of just like driving out here tomorrow morning and being like, well, we don't have fucking half the stuff, So, but most people just have this like brutal expectation that somehow like, because they called a contractor, like it'll be fixed in like 2 to 6 hours or something. Now, understandably, if somebody had an emergency, like a water leak or something, first off, I can't fix water leaks technically. So I would say call an emergency plumber and have them come out. But if there was some kind of emergency, like, yeah, I could come over right quick and help out. Like, I had a friend where their door was fucked up and it wouldn't shut. So, like, they couldn't shut and latch their front door, right? And they were like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Can I just pay you to come over and fix it? Like, it's I know this sucks, but like my front door is going to be open all night.
Right.
That's not good. Like at the very least, like raccoons are going to come in and try to get into the fridge, you know.
Get the hot pot.
Yeah, get some hot pot. It's a casserole, Sheila. With stuff like that, I was like, yeah, I want to go over and fix their door. Yeah, it's fine. But, you know, people are like, my laundry room is ugly, you know, and like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it pretty by next week so I can list the house
True.
or show my in-laws. True.
And so it was one of those things where like I've done shit like that, but the other thing is that like I've noticed with so many customers that they're like, there's this weird expectation that like, I told you that I wanted a new kitchen. Or you're starting tomorrow, right? You know, you're just like, no, like I'm not even gonna have the contract tomorrow. You know, and to explain to people like, I don't have like a lady that works in the office. Like I don't have an office clerk or whatever.
No secretary? Come on now. You don't have a Gemini AI that you talk to like a secretary?
I do have. I have so many. I have so many AI secretaries. They're doing so much for me, but they're busy. They're busy trying to share vibrator links on Facebook. That's what they're busy doing. Okay. I have them assigned to doing that, so we can try to get some of those Amazon bucks. Which reminds me, today's portion of the program is brought to you by Amazon links. This Amazon link right here will take you to a nice, affordable women's vibrator, usable by men and women alike. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care, and I don't judge. But the Joe Rogan program used to constantly promote men's masturbatory devices called fleshlights, and instead of doing that, we're promoting some brilliant sex toys for women. Adults. This is for adults and not for kids, which this show is tagged not for kids. So if anybody thinks, oh my God, this guy, he makes fish tanks and stuff, and then he was talking about vibrators on his show. This is not for kids. This show never was for kids, and it was never designed for kids. If somebody convinced you that my content was for kids, they were disingenuous, liars, and charlatans. And yeah, I'm a huge leftist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in your fucking bullshit fairy tale stories you want to tell your children, so that you can convince them to be a part of your money extracting fucking MLM scheme. You know, so yeah, if you don't like that, I'm tattooed. I'm a guy that's in recovery. I've been sober for 10 years now, which means I've done drugs and got drunk, and I've also been to jail and stuff. All of those things. So if you don't like any of that, then go fuck yourself and get out of here. How about that? And hopefully alienate half of my audience, because the MAGA people can just go fucking kick rocks into their own mouths, trip and fall off of a cliff for all I care. I don't care. Leave America, please.
Joel.
What?
Do you get anything for Amazon links?
Oh, I get things. The Federal Trade Commission says I got to tell you, we get commish from Amazon links. So click through and buy whatever you want. You don't actually have to buy a vibrator, but somebody's going to get that advertising dollar, and it might as well be me, right? This year, this month, we've created a massive income stream of $4.92. So it's big money around here. It's big, fat, thick money. Big, fat, thick
Rolling
money.
in the dough.
It's
Making
big
it
bottom.
rain.
It's big bottom, thick lady money. You know what I'm talking about.
Make it
Yeah, how dare you be a guy in recovery? Yeah. The thing is, like, I would fight to. I don't know if I would fight to my death for somebody else's religion, but I would fight for your right to have your religion. Right?
That's right.
I won't fight for you to oppress other people in the name of your religion. Do you get the distinction there? Does the distinction there, is it too difficult? Is it too difficult for Christian people to fucking understand? Is that distinction just, I don't know, I can't believe somebody had anal sex. Oh my God. Right? Like, who cares? Why do you care? Oh, because the spaghetti monster in the sky. The spaghetti monster in the sky is going to send you to an imaginary place after you're dead, which you can't verify in any aspect whatsoever. Just the same way that flat earthers can't verify any of the flat earth bullshit they believe in, right? I honestly think that, like, people that believe in Jesus and shit are just the flat earthers. They're just as fucking stupid as flat earthers. So the next time you think, oh, Jesus Christ, heaven be thy name, blah, 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 any of that shit, just think, I go, oh, you're an idiot flat earther. Got it. Okay. If that bothers you, feel bothered. I don't care.
You have the right to feel bothered.
Right.
Just
You have
as
the
you
right to
have the
feel
right-
bothered. Yeah.
Those we support. Your rights, down for every moment. Just not.
You have to see the scene on the show Preacher where the main character meets the son of Jesus, Home Purdue. It's so funny when I see it. I automatically thought you'd get a kick out of it. I'll check that out. I noticed that that show was on Netflix, and I don't know if they produced like new seasons of it. Wasn't 100% sure if there's like new seasons of Preacher like produced by Netflix, or if Netflix just bought the licensing or something. Not 100%.
So
Hold
what
on, I have
pissed
to-
you off the most? Oh, go ahead. Go rule the world. We understand.
I have to attack this outpost.
This is what modern warfare has come to, folks. A dude on a cell phone in a fish
Modern.
room.
Modern.
Modern.
Well, you've read Ender's Game, haven't you?
Many times.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite books until, well, still one of my all-time favorite books, but Orson Scott Card drove me nuts. But we've had that discussion, so we'll skip that. Sorry, my bad.
I've
I
read
need
it
to
a
go
few
down that rabbit
times.
hole again. Rabbit hole. There's. I'm curious to see which story you found the most inflaming this week, since there were such a wide selection.
Which one?
That's what I'm saying. Which
Well,
one?
Which of the bullshit do you want to talk about?
There's a race to the bottom in that category. I mean, the whole immigration roundup, where more and more stories are coming out that it's not just the bad people that we're picking up. They're trying to make numbers by even picking up people on current work visas and that type of thing. And then the no warrants. There's the whole.
Well, yeah, and I think ultimately, like, fundamentally, like, what my side of politics has been trying to explain to people, and oftentimes, like, people don't want to hear this. Like, once the machine of deportation starts rolling, and You have interagencies hiring new people because they need more, air quote, soldiers. Or, oh, we need to bring in the military to help, which they've already been using military planes and stuff, which arguably could be a more cost-effective measure to use those airplanes, if you even agree with any of this bullshit, right, to begin with. But once that system starts rolling, when does it stop? And by the way, who's independently verifying that these people that are being exported or being expatriated or being fucking deported or whatever you want to call it are actually the people that are supposed to be being deported, right? Because if ICE shows up at my house, they take us into custody, they take away our phone, they take away any way to communicate, they take away our ID, they take it away, then you're literally at a point of saying, to just tell people like, I'm an American, right? Take my word for it, okay? And if they shuffle you onto a C-130, which is a big airplane, military guys fly you to Guatemala or Uruguay or Belize,
Colombia,
whatever, and then just kick you out on the tarmac. And then you're trying to explain to the people in Belize, like, no, I'm an American. We're not supposed to be here, right? Then now you're in another country where you have to try and represent yourself without any means to protect yourself or anything like that, with just bare hand combat. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to a military force in Uganda? Well, like, what are you going to do? You just
gonna
start
throttle that
punching.
hell-herald with a machine gun.
You're going to punch your way out of it, So once this machine starts going and they just start taking people and dropping them off in other countries on the other side of the planet, when does it stop? How do we verify that the people that have actually been taken out of the country are people that should have been taken out of the country? How do we verify that?
And following that back, even if you made it all the way back to the United States, having had everything taken away from you, you'd have no way to prove that you are you. So the next logical step, the other side is going to say, well, then we need to do DNA testing, or we need to do this, that, or the other, where they can then... And that turns me into a crazy conspiracy theorist for even saying it, but it is their logical train of crazy.
Well, yeah, but there's also a problem there, is that, like, you're relying on DNA testing to prove that you're an American. To who?
Well, because, we're going to start DNA testing these kids when they get popped out.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, who are you verifying that to?
Right.
I have a piece of paper here that says my DNA is, I'm from America. My DNA says I'm from America, right? Who are you verifying that to? And then what are they doing? Are they giving you permission to stay back in America again with an ID in your pocket?
Right. Your papers.
And a cell phone again, right? And you're like, oh, 2 months goes by, and then they raid your house again and take away your identification and put you on an airplane and fly you to, this time, fucking South Africa. I don't know. Like, when does it stop? And the reality is that the right-wing fucking wackadoos in this country, and by the way, for those of you that are like, hey, we're not all like that, you support it, okay? You support it, and so you are. That is you, right? If you support the MAGA fucking bullshit agenda, this Project 2025 agenda that they're following through on, which Trump kept saying, like, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it, except everyone in his administration, everyone working with him, all was a part of writing Project 2025.
Well, and anyone with half a brain knew that
have vilified all of the fucking center of this country. Everyone that's a moderate, you are too far left. You are a lefto crazy person. Everyone on the left, like me, you're a crazy person. Everyone on the extreme left, they're a crazy person. Everyone on the moderate right, you're a fucking rhino. So they'll probably deport you too. And by the way, like, who's them to stop from deporting Mitt Romney, right? Who's to stop him?
Mitch McConnell voted against him. We can deport him too.
Yeah, I mean, who's to stop it, right? And Lady Guinevere says, if you voted for Trump, you know what you voted for. That's right. You voted for this racist fucking bullshit agenda. And who's ever going to stop it, right? Like, once this continues to escalate and ramp up, that you could eventually get to the point right now. There are states that have outlawed fucking pornography just because you want to watch two consenting adults have sex because you want to do that, right? Wait, are there any reports of actual citizens being deported? There are actual humans being deported. Can you verify that they're not citizens? That's how the double negative works, right? Like, you can't verify that they aren't citizens, right?
Iggy, I'm surprised you made it back after last week's go round. Welcome back.
And by the way, like, how do you verify when it stops? Because in the reality, most people think when they think back to World War II and Nazi Germany, that the Nazis just started exterminating people right out the gate. They didn't. It was a long period of ramping up, of first kicking people out of the country that dissented, right? They kicked all of the lefties out of the country, right? Anybody that was a leftist, it was explained to them that they would essentially be jailed in prison or put in front of a firing squad eventually, right? They shut down all of the schools. They burned all of the books. You remember the book burnings, right? They burned any kind of literature that would explain like what is happening to the country. They kicked out all of the booted out all of the essentially like writers, reporters, intellectuals and shit. They kicked them all out of the country. Then they started enslaving people. They started sending people to labor camps, right? Labor will set you free, right? Work will set you free. I forget what it is. I'm not a Nazi, so I don't sit around thinking about that shit all the time. But it was a slow progression to eventually realize that, like, the slave camps where they were trying to get all of the Jews and gypsies and everybody else, right? They eventually realized that the slave laborers didn't really work very well. It didn't really work very well to have people enslaved in a prison camp and have them do work. So they stopped sending them food, essentially. The easiest way to explain it would be they stopped sending food and was just allowing them to die. And eventually, the final decision came down later on to start killing them off and putting them in mass graves to hide what they had done, right? Because they were like, look, these people have, if you read a lot of the documents that were traded inside
Germany?
the Nazi fucking idiots, the Nazi email of the time, okay?
Right. Correspondence
between each other is that they
command.
were saying that these people had lost their utility, right? These people were no longer useful, right? And eventually, the final decision came down, right? Was that, oh, we just have to start eliminating these people so they just don't exist anymore, so we don't have to feed them anymore and shit, and take care of them, and leave troops to keep an eye on them. Iggy Zuniga says, "Yeah, I'm an actual fan of fish tank talks." Here's the deal. Nobody has asked a fish tank question at all today. I didn't title this. This is a fish tank talk. The thumbnail isn't. This is a fish tank talk.
But, although it did inspire an aquascaping conversation in Discord.
Yeah, there's a fish tank in the background. I do fish tanks. It's something that I've done. It was something that I worked on as a career. But I did make a decision at one point to not be selling people tchotchkes that they didn't need, right? I essentially didn't I didn't go into business to start selling shit to people, which admittedly is a failing because I could have just extracted tons of money from people and just have that money now, right? So I guess
I would buy the Corvus meme coin.
Pardon me?
Said I would buy the Corvus meme coin. Go on.
Yeah, the meme coin. Yeah, I don't have a meme coin. We don't have a crypto around here. But needless to say, what my point was is that I didn't produce a bunch of fish tank tchotchkes. Somebody had mentioned here last week that they were here because I had explained to them how to do a dirted fish tank. I've never explained on my channel. I've never made a video saying you should do a dirted aquarium. I've never been a fan of doing dirted aquariums. It's never been something I've promoted. In fact, I have made lots of videos about not doing a dirted aquarium. So somehow, I think this once again is like the Mandela effect, that are like, there's this white guy on the internet and he just planted fish tanks. So he's like the dirted fish tank guy, right?
Yep.
He's like he's a dirted fish tank guy, right? You know.
The only one that does dirted stuff regularly is
Dustin.
MD, to my knowledge. Oh, Dustin. Okay.
Dustin, and I guess MD does. I don't know. I watched some of MD's stuff. MD hung around here for a while to try and get his name out there, essentially. So when he was in promotional mode, he would hang around in live streams. But now he's extracted enough money that he doesn't need to do that anymore, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't see him around. You don't see him around in chats or anything like that anymore. The reality was, like, I made a decision when I even had the offers on the table in order to organize a business that way. The offers on the table were essentially to sell you guys shit that's made in China. And then the easy way to explain it is shit made in China. Or take a deal with a company that I absolutely refused to acknowledge that they were in any way a reputable company, right? So I could have taken a deal to promote with a company that I didn't believe in, right? Could have done that multiple times. Didn't do that. I did take work. I worked for a company. I didn't. To argue that I worked with that company would be abjectly inaccurate because I worked for a company. It was pretty well described to me at multiple times that, like, I was just somebody who would be paid to do tasks. So I worked for a company. I didn't work with a company. They would refuse to take adult-like advice. So doesn't have anything to do. You literally have one talking about the RIR. The RIR? I don't know. I don't know. So here's the deal. You want to say that I'm a fish tank creator. Cool. I'm saying that I'm not. So go fuck off. If that's how you want to be about it. Like, you are this, and I'm saying I'm not. Right? This is like one of those conversations where you talk to people, right? And you explain to them, like, why calling things gay is bad, right? Because
yes.
You know
or
what I'm
using
saying?
the R
It's
word.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, I say retarded sometimes, and I understand.
But
that,
I'm
like, I'm not using it at somebody. Well, I don't know. I use it at Joe Rogan. But
fair.
You know, it's like explaining that, right?
Right.
So, like, trying to explain that situation where somebody else is telling you that you are something or whatever, right? I understand that, like, this channel has been focused on a lot of fish tank content, and to say that, and to, like, ignore that would be a weird thing to say, right? Like, Like, I've never made a video about fish tanks. I have made videos about fish tanks. Yes. Trying to be helpful for people that can't seem to do any research on their own other than just be entertained by flashing lights and colors and things on screen, right? There was a point in time where I was investing a lot of time in trying to help people with their fish tanks. Realistically, what that led to was a lot of my content essentially, and it sounds really shitty to say this, but like people just copied my content and marketed it better, right? Because they were marketing it in a way where they could resell you Chinese made slave labor fucking plastic shit that they bought for pennies on the dollar for like $30, right?
Right.
So they marketed the same content a lot better than I did because they were reselling shit to people and taking money, right? You're okay. You're directly mentioning my posts. I'm just responding in kind. You're typing into my chat. I can read it. I'm here. I'm an alive person. All right. Well, fuck this. I'm just I'm 9 out of 10 just banning you from chat. All right. Anyhow, I don't know what the fuck I was talking about anymore. So, yes, there are a lot of people out there that started marketing shit, and at the time, I made the decision to not do that. And maybe I should have done that because then at this point, I could be sitting on a bunch of money like fucking Scrooge McDuck, which has proven to be a very popular thing to do in the United States. That's how fucking people have gotten elected.
Yep.
To become president of the United States, extracting money from people, doing shit like fucking launching meme coins, fucking presidential meme coins. It's fucking insane.
Oh, and First Lady meme coin, and let's see, who's the other one? All the kids have meme coins.
Right.
Sorry.
So it's there's a reality that like I probably should have just done that because then I could have extracted all that money, and then I would have that money now, and then I could sell some other shit to people, even if the tariffs are coming in, right?
Right. Yeah, and he's talking about putting some as high as 50% now, and I don't understand how we're all going to survive. We aren't all going to survive. Let's put it that way.
No, you're not, and you're not designed to. That's the thing.
Nope.
I don't remember if it was an episode of Real Fish Talk, but someone asked Corey what he'd done for the hobby. He responded with he could make a knockoff product, but wanted to make a real change. Then proceeded to just make a bunch of knockoff products. Yeah, I mean that's the reality. Is that like there were a lot of conversations that I had. With people that produce products, with people like Corey that are like, I'm here to change the hobby, and it's very interesting, like how many times they would go online and talk about how they're here to change the hobby, and then the aquarium that they would post would be threw some cichlids into a tank and a bunch of pieces of plastic that they sell, right? So I mean, it really could be like SpongeBob SquarePants. Realistically, like just remarket some SpongeBob SquarePants plastic.
Right.
Your content I watched was more about salt water, even though I didn't have any interest in salt water, but your content was good and informative. Thanks for that. Okay. If anybody really wants to go have, if anybody wants to sit down and watch if you want to watch a fish tank video, I have a whole bunch of them. You can just go watch it. There's a title card. All the chaff is cut out of it where I'm not talking about things that are going on, right? With the news, Trump's going to fucking trigger a bunch of people and I'm going to lose half of my audience. I got news for you guys. I lost half of my audience the last election, okay? I lost half of my audience the last election, and I also lost half of my audience because of COVID. You know how many comments I got during my live stream during COVID from shithead aquarium fan people that were like, "Why aren't you wearing a mask in your office?" at my own house. Like, why aren't you wearing a mask, bitch boy? You know, shit like that.
You're not wearing a mask when you call me.
Constantly fucking nonsensical fucking bullshit from people that have zero science background, who probably fucking scratch their own butthole and then lick their fingers, you know, like, and then be like, why aren't you wearing a mask in your own office at your own house? I can't even figure out what's going on right now. I got shit in my own mouth from my own. It's my own shit. You know.
Yeah.
I have one question. Did you have a worse life during Trump's first term? Yes. Trump's first term was COVID, you fucking maniac. You have a fucking like zero memory of the guy who could not handle a viral pandemic as president of the United States. You remember people were fighting over toilet paper? Because the supply chain management is so fucking bad in the United States.
Yep.
That people were fighting over toilet paper. Okay? I do understand that at the beginning of Trump's term, people would fight over TVs on at Walmart on Black Friday. Like, that's how it started. Like, it started out with people are fighting at Walmart for TVs. It's on Black Friday. The inflation that went up during Trump's term, the fact that Trump spent more money than any president has ever spent while doing tax cuts. Supposedly, the Republican Party is the party of austerity measures, right? The Republicans are supposed to cut taxes and cut spending. Supposedly. They never fucking do it. They have never done it. It's in modern day, it has never fucking happened. Maybe you got to go all the way back to 1893, which Trump has been talking about taking us back to the 1890s when he was born. He wants to go back to his childhood because he's so fucking old, right?
We literally have the day. Is that the date?
I don't know.
Iggy, you got to type better, honey. You're just not helping at all.
For people to go like, people to sit around and go like, do you have a worse life during Trump's first term? Like, did I have a worse life? Like, first off, the question is fundamentally broken, right? Did I have a worse life? I don't have a worse life or a better life. I have my life. I live. Yeah, I have people that love me. I have people that care for me. I take care of my family. I do all the things. Did I have a worse life? Well, one of the big issues with hindsight, and this is why Trump supporters sit around and think about their high school girlfriends all the time, is that when you think back historically, you're looking back historically through rose-colored glasses, right? You're looking back to a time that doesn't fucking exist because it only exists in your imagination. So none of the problems that you had when you were 19 years old or 17 years old or 23 years old, none of those problems are in the forefront of your mind because that's not how memory works, right? Rarely are you going to sit around and dwell about bad things and try to categorize and remember all of the bad things that were happening at a time, right?
And it rarely gives you all the high points either.
It rarely gives you all the high points either, but you're definitely going to remember the high points of banging your girlfriend in the backseat of a car when you were fucking 17 years old. You're going to remember that. It was a high watermark thing that happened. Or like winning a race. Like that time you won a marathon, right? Like, fuck, that was awesome. I was in such great shape, right? So you're going to look back. Except for the fact that, like, you probably couldn't sleep very well because you were training too much for the marathon. You probably had far less fat on your body because you've been training so much for the marathon. Whereas when you do have a little extra fat on your body actually feels better because your joints feel a lot better, right? It's one of the reasons that long-distance runners are constantly pounding fat and protein all the time because they're trying to maintain their ligaments and their joints, and where their bones are meeting each other are rubbing raw because they're so fucking lean, right? Same thing, same reason that who's the Olympic swimmer guy with Michael Phelps? Same thing, reason that Michael Phelps would eat like 8 fucking Big Macs a day, right? To keep fat on his body so he could swim at an Olympic level. No one under this world, under this sun would be like, you know what you should have is eight Big Macs a day. Eat like Michael Phelps, right? Also, get in a pool and swim fucking 30 miles a day is the other side of the coin that the people aren't going to do, right?
Right.
But when you're looking back historically at times from like 7 years ago, oh, things were going so good because I was making money and the sun was out. Well, today it was fucking 24 degrees outside and frozen, right? So technically, I could think back to a summer 6.5 years ago and go, wow, I was doing so much better 6.5 years ago because the sun was out, right? And it was warm out. So when we're talking about like when people say they were doing better back then, what are we talking about? Are you talking about, did you pay more in taxes? Did you pay more in your mortgage? Did you pay more in gasoline? Did you pay more in insurance? Did you pay more? Like, there's a ton of metrics to start and sit down and figure out on like how well someone's life is doing. And I will tell you that when Trump was in office, I talked to hundreds of people about whether or not these tax cuts were good or bad for them. And I will tell you this, 99% of the people that I fucking talked to had no idea how much in taxes they actually even paid. They couldn't even come up with a number. They couldn't come up with a percentage. They didn't know what they paid, but they had been convinced by Trump that cutting the taxes meant that they were paying less in taxes, right? Because they're sitting around listening to people like Rush Limbaugh the entirety of their lives and just lapping it up out of a fucking bowl like a cat to a saucer, right? And never questioning anything, never questioning. They've been conditioned the entirety of their lives to not question anything, essentially been groomed by the church to end up listening to talk radio for the rest of their fucking lives and just eating it up and believing everything that is told to them because they need a pastoral figure to fucking tell them what to do, right? As opposed to going, I don't know, why don't I just crack a book and take a look at some of the research that has been done on this thing that I want to learn about? Nope, can't do that. It would be better to just listen to a stream of endless opinions and in order to create your worldview as to what you should think about. Somehow I was accidentally born into the correct religion. Oh, it must be God working in mysterious ways, huh? Okay. Why does God work in mysterious ways regionally? Why would that be the case? Why would most of the people be in the Midwest categorize themselves as Christian, and most of the people in India categorize themselves as Hindu?
Yep.
Why would that be the case? I don't know. Why would most of the people that are in China consider themselves, are they Buddhists? I think they're Buddhists, right?
Yeah.
Why would that be? Why would it be the case that God works in mysterious ways so that regionally a fucking sports team takes hold, right? A sports team like Catholics, like Catholicism, the Catholicism sports team takes hold in an area of the world, and suddenly, well, God's the one, right? God's the guy.
Great point, Sarah.
And also, one of the weird fucking things is that I was listening to a New York Times writer who was talking about one of the issues with the Trump syndrome that we've fallen prey to here in the United States. And it's not that Trump is a political leader; it's that Trump has essentially fans, right? Like, he's just a famous guy who has fans. So essentially, he's like the Rolling Stones, right? Where people show up wearing all their Rolling Stones gear to a concert, and they're super mega fans. And by the way, if they get backstage, Mick Jagger's definitely getting a fucking blowjob, if you know what I'm saying, right? Like, that's essentially what Donald Trump has sucked up. Those people is his fan group that wear around his outfits. They wear around his hat and his shirt. They make excuses for him wearing diapers. Can you fucking believe that? They would wear golden diapers to his fucking rallies because wearing diapers is manly. It's like a high testosterone thing is what they were talking about. Like, Get the fuck out of here, dude.
They-
It's so
They
crazy.
disrespect the flag by turning it into a cape while
Yeah.
bitching about
Oh,
people
man.
who disrespect the flag.
Yeah, bitching about how people who disrespect the flag. That's the one of the weirdest pieces of hypocrisy I've ever seen. It's just a fucking bizarro world levels of shit.
Iggy, you're ignoring the fact that Trump or no Trump, COVID was the leveler between then and now. If COVID had not been in the picture, then your
Hey,
question.
no. I'm cutting this off. I'm cutting this the fuck off.
Okay.
Iggy,
Go
if
ahead.
you want to post your tax returns online and we can look at them, we'll look at them. I'm not taking your fucking word for it because it's probably bullshit. It's probably straight up bullshit. I almost guarantee it. Your claim is you got bigger paychecks. How much are your paychecks now? Post them up online and post your paychecks from back then. Post your taxes from back then and we can look at them. Other than that, I'm not taking your fucking word for it because it's straight bullshit to just be typing into fucking YouTube chat. As far as I'm concerned, you're probably like a low quality chat GPT who has like fucking glommed on to be fucking posting into my chat. Just the same as the fish bot that was saying to subscribe and hit the like button and shit. I don't want to hear it. I want to see actual evidence of your fucking argumentation. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. Recap Harris says people asking questions like that are completely out of touch with what is happening and have their heads in the sand. What is happening may not directly affect them now, but it will. That's the bigger issue. Is that more often than not, the people do have their heads just directly in the sand, ostrich style. Even though it turns out the ostriches just put their heads in the sand, looking for stuff to eat. Yeah. Yeah. They don't actually put their heads in the sand to hide, which, by the way, thanks to scientists for researching that to find out if it was an old wives' tale or not.
But hey,
Dango Bicon says, I pay in the upper 40% tax in the UK. I'm far from being well off. I've got 4 kids and it's a struggle. Yes. What people in the EU need to fundamentally understand is that when people in the US talk about how much money they make, they are talking about how much money they make before taxes. People in the European Union do not understand that that's what Americans are talking about. They don't understand it. I've been to Europe a bunch of times. I've talked to a lot of Europeans. When they say somebody earns $90,000 in the United States, that is a before tax money. And in the EU, people do not understand that the Americans communicate in that fashion how much money they make. They don't get it. So they think, oh, I'm in the EU and I'm making, 45,000 euro a year, or I guess you're in the UK, so you make sterling pounds. Let's say you make like 45,000 pounds a year. And so we take in the exchange rate. I don't know what the exchange rate is now. Typically, pounds are like 1.25 per US dollar. It might be less now because of the chaos of fucking Bitcoin, Trump coin, and all this fucking bullshit going on. Who knows? But let's say we'll just multiply it, the 1.25, which is typical of the past. So you'd be making like what, 55,000 euro a year. But now there's a huge but here.
hey, don't talk about my ass. Go on.
We got a huge butt going in. First off, you need to fundamentally understand this. Your taxes are paying for a multitude of things that the United States taxes do not pay for. In the UK, you are going to be on what is it called? There's a name for the HHS or whatever. UK Health.
I think it's NHS, National Health Service.
Yeah, NHS is the NHS system, which is going to cover things. Which, first off, the argument that people are going to throw out there, they're going to be, oh, the care is worse and wait times are longer, because as if there are no wait times in the U.S. and as if there are no problems with fucking healthcare in the U.S. So
yeah. Well, our
40,
insurance doesn't even want to get
a typical 40-year-old healthy American is going to be paying upwards of $700 a month health insurance rates for full coverage. Plus, you're going to have to pay dental and vision, most likely out of pocket. So health insurance in the United States doesn't typically have dental and vision on it. Those are an additional cost. So you got to take that into account by the end of the year. Homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance is not included as a federal program. Now, there are emergency disaster relief programs, but as you can see, with a fucking Nazi in the White House, or at least a Nazi sympathizer in the White House, they could claim to withhold it from states. So they could just say, like, oh, maybe we're not going to say it, and we're not going to send it. And by the way, I live in Washington State, and Donald Trump threatened to do that to a wildfire town here last time he was in office. So not only is he doing it now, he actually did it in the past. So there's probably no reason he's going to stop doing it, because he's currently doing it again. It's called a pattern of behavior, right? Like when somebody keeps doing a shitty behavior, like they keep coming over and they keep putting they put their finger in the mouth and then they put it in your ear and they just keep doing it over and over again. Eventually you expect them to continue doing that behavior. Yeah, that's what's going on here. Then you also got to take into account there really isn't public transportation in the United States. It doesn't really exist. I've been to multiple countries across Europe. Getting around without a car is not the easiest thing in the world, but it is fucking really easy. In the United States, if you do not have a car, you are fucked. Unless you live downtown right near your job, and it happens to be like a high-paying office job or something, if you don't have a car in the United States, you are screwed. More than likely, you're probably not even going to be able to access grocery stores very well if you don't have a car. So you will have to pay for a car. You'll have to pay for a car. You'll have to pay for insurance on the car. You'll have to pay taxes on the car. You'll have to register the car every year. Luckily, we don't have emissions anymore, but we used to have to get emissions. You'll also have to pay road taxes for gasoline, even though we're producing the most amount of oil that has ever been produced by any country ever. Apparently, we're going to drill, baby, drill. That's the big deal. Like, as if we aren't already drilling everywhere already. We're producing more gas and more oil than any country has ever produced, ever. All time. History of man kind of shit. But apparently we need to drill more, right? Because we need to create the veil that there will be more and more and more oil billionaires on this planet. There'll be more billionaires from oil if we just say, drill, baby, drill, right? You also need to take into account there is no help in this country unless you are exceedingly, exceedingly poor for child care. I don't know how many times I've come on here and talked about how much we had to pay for child care. We had one kid that needed to be watched for a regular work week without extended hours. And that cost $1,700 per year, which we also don't get a tax break on because there's a cap on the federal how much you can deduct federally for having paid for child care. So a simple leftist policy of saying, hey, if people are paying out of pocket for their child care, it should be a tax deduction off of their federal shit, can't get passed in this country because why the fuck not, right? Because everyone's going to end up being a billionaire. Somehow there's going to be 330 million billionaires in this country just magically or something. I don't know. We've managed to convince people that. Whereas in Germany, every month you get a credit, you get paid for actually having kids to help you pay for childcare, food, housing, that kind of shit. And in the United States, you get fucked and have to go to a private company that provides your childcare for you, and you have to pay out of pocket for it unless you make very little amounts of money. You can just keep going down the list if you want. I can just keep going down the list all goddamn day if you want about how much Americans are taxed in a way that we don't even recognize as a tax, right? Does anybody recognize the child care tax that we're paying to a private company? Right? $1,700 a month. How many people out here pay $1,700 a month in taxes? I really wonder, right? I can keep going down the list of shit if that's what really, if realistically, if that's what people want, right? I also pay 39% in taxes because I own a small business already, right? So I already pay 39% in taxes. Let's also not to mention the property taxes, sales taxes, taxes on going to the airport. There's an extra fucking $25 tax surcharge to go to the fucking airport. Why? Somebody explain it to me. I'm on my way to being a billionaire with my fish bucks. Yeah, yeah, it's the fish bucks that will get you there.
I wish. Yeah, it's crazy. And all these people that are like, oh, well, your job will give you so many of these benefits. No, they don't.
Oh, no.
Not anymore.
What we firstly need to, if we want to talk about that conversation.
Okay. Yes, we do.
If we want to talk about that conversation, the starting point that we need to talk about with that conversation is Americans are reliant on getting their health care through their employer.
Yep.
Right? So,
in theory,
you essentially become chained to the job that you have because you will lose something that you fundamentally need, right? Which is health care. And I'm not even talking about health insurance. I'm talking about health care, period. End of story, non-elastic market. I've talked about this in the past. It's a sort of the Econ 101 theory of like, how do I explain what should be regulated and what should be allowed to be a free market situation?
Right.
What should be able to be regulated are things that are inelastic markets, right? The ones that people cannot choose to access. Healthcare, food, transportation,
housing to some degree.
To a degree. How steeply they need to be regulated would be based on the elasticity of that market. Take TVs, for instance. You're probably going to need access to some kind of screen at some point in time. But it could easily be argued you really don't need one to survive. Healthcare,
nope,
you don't have an option. There is no option with healthcare. You're going to access it within the first week of your life, whether you like it or not, right? You might be born at home, but
you still have a midwife. Or
you're probably going to have to come into the hospital a day or two later to be seen by a doctor so that we could at least verify that you had a child, right? That you'd be able to get a social security number so you'll be able to vote, right? Which, by the way, it's how you get your fucking right to vote in the United States. You know, I registered online. The last time I registered to vote, I registered online. Put in my social security number, put in my driver's license, put in my new address where I had moved to, which I had already put in my address change of form with the United States Postal Service, right? Verifying that we actually had purchased this house and that this is where we are moving to so that they could forward all of my mail to me, which, by the way, they take pictures of and email to me now every day to keep track of what mail is coming and going. Anyhow, with that verification, they sent off to the people that the people that verify that I am who I am and that I have moved here. They contacted me to ask if I had registered to vote. I said, yes, I'm changing my registration to here. So we had a two-factor authentication on my end, verified by a person. Boom, I'm registered to vote. There you go. We're done. Guess what? The verification process is I have a social security number because I'm a United States citizen. I have a driver's license to verify that I'm a human being that has gone into a thing and somebody has looked at me, right? And they're like, that's a guy. There he is, and he can
We took his picture.
he can reverse around a corner. Look at him go, And so we went through that whole process. And so when it comes time to register to vote, it verified who I was. It verified that I'm an existing person, and it verified that I exist. Boom, there we go. We're done. If somebody else tries to register as me, they will immediately be questioned and likely fucking detained at some point.
Right.
Because my guess would be that they would send fucking officers over to wherever that request came from, right? That like, oh, this guy lives 50 miles from there. Why is he suddenly registering to vote over here? Well, let's contact him. Did you try to change your voting registration? No, I did not. Okay, cool. We're going to go find out who's doing that, right?
Let's be clear. In all of the elections in the last several years, only 1% of voter fraud has been proven in any state by any checker, be they red or white or blue, rather, I should say. So
it's far less than 1%. It's 0.000 fucking 0017 or something. The Heritage Foundation. Right. The Heritage Foundation ran that study, and they found such little voter fraud that they decided to not put it on Fox News and tell anybody about it.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that anymore. Yeah.
Yes. Anyhow, so whatever I was saying, yeah. The taxes are way worse in the United States than even people can recognize, because we're being taxed by private companies that are raking us over the coals for things that exist in the inelastic market, like food. You have to have food. You fundamentally have to have food. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you believe in the weird spaghetti monster man in the sky. I don't know, whoever the fuck you think it is, Jesus or whatever. Maybe you believe in that and that you don't really need to eat food. I don't know. But my understanding is that humans need to consume calories because we burn the calories inside of our body, because the mitochondria is the power cell or whatever is the powerhouse, right, of the cell. And so we have to do that. You have to take in food. It's not, you can't argue with it, right? Like, you have to eat some food or you're going to die. And so that should be heavily regulated. It should be regulated that giant companies cannot own these dramatic sweeping areas of land for the sake of agriculture and then be taking in subsidies at the proportions that they do, right? That's important and fundamental and needs to be changed, right? And when I say that those departments need to be regulated heavily, they need to be heavily regulated in favor of the population and not corporate interests, because we've been down this road before. Carnegie's, Rockefellers, all these fucking who are the rest of them? Who are some of the
we did this last week. Ashcrofts, Vanderbilts.
The Vanderbilts, all these fucking clowns. The Carnegies, J.P. Morgan, James Fisk, John Jacob Astor.
Stanley's, Astor's, that was it. Stanley.
Andrew Mellon. Andrew Mellon. My God, he looks like a fucking zombie.
Well, a lot of the people in that era did. The joy of laudanum.
Yeah, I mean, they were on drugs and shit.
But their drugs were much worse than ours.
And the funny thing is that, like, these people are aggrandized in our culture to be like, oh, the Rockefeller Center and all of the charities that they did. They made all these parks and stuff. They were required to do it. They were required to do it, or they would be hung. They would be hung in a gallows, right? That was
a modern French
that was the trade-off.
The
The trade-off was, like, Frankenstein's monster will come to your fucking castle with sticks and torches and pitchforks and shit if you don't donate some of that money, right? If you don't put some of it back into the public. And eventually what they did is they passed the 91% income tax rate for the highest earners. So that essentially in today's dollars, anybody that made over, I believe it was $5 million, I would extend it to like $10 million, but I want to bring back the 91% tax rate on that extended income, right? And the reason for that is that you have two options. You have three options. There's option one, you can pay the 91% tax, and the people that have been voted in can figure out where to apply those funds for the betterment of the population. You can take that money and you can reinvest it in the people that work for you, which is generally what most of those billionaires did. The Baron, the what were they called? The I can't think of the name.
Robber barons.
The robber barons eventually had to do that. Hold on, somebody's knocking at my door. Hello, a key.
Ringing the bell.
I have a key. Well, thank you. For the ball? You want a key for a ball situation? What?
Hey, now. That's
It looks like a
something we
bike
should
lock.
know.
It's one of the round ones. I don't know. Let me check.
I'm wondering if mine is with the other camper key.
I don't know. You broke my camper key. I think it's here. It's still broken.
Oh.
No, it would be on here. Yeah, there's my broken key. You broke it with your power. This should be it. Can you put this key on there? Can you put that key on there? And take the broken one off? Anyhow, like I was talking about, the robber barons had to invest that money, or they had to get the fuck out of the country. Get the fuck out of here. And there are a lot of conservatives that have essentially tried to do but the billionaires are going to leave with their money. And it's like, cool, go to Saudi Arabia. Go there. Go live in Saudi Arabia with your billions of dollars. I don't give a fuck. Get out of here if you can't contribute in a proper way to the rest of the country. It's fundamentally fucked that we have anybody that has $1 billion, first and foremost, and then to have somebody that has $400 billion is categorically just an absolute sign that our system is so fundamentally broken that it is going to explode and collapse, whether we like it or not. But yeah.
Yeah.
Recap Harris says, let the billionaires go to Mars. Yeah, go to Mars and keep trying to make billions of dollars. See how it works. See how it works out for you.
That's right. Plant that flag.
Move to one of those shithole countries that they always call shithole countries, right? Anyhow, that's the end of today's show. I love you guys. Have a fantastic whatever the fuck you do out in wherever the fuck you do it. Bye-bye.